Are you ready for a shakeup? Former President Trump is making waves again, and this time, it's all about executive orders that could bring major changes to stimulus checks. Whether you're a retiree, someone on Social Security, or just trying to stay afloat in these unpredictable times, these updates could directly impact your wallet, and fast. But here's the burning question. What exactly do these executive orders mean for your money? Let's break it down. Imagine this. You're budgeting your fixed income, planning out every penny, and then, boom, new policies drop that could alter your stimulus payments overnight. From changes in eligibility to adjustments in the amounts distributed, Trump's executive orders are sparking both hope and confusion. And believe me, the devil is in the details. For instance, did you know that these new orders could potentially expand who qualifies for relief checks? Yes, you heard that right. But at the same time, there's talk of tighter regulations for others. Some of these changes might sound great on paper, but will they truly deliver the relief we all need? Or will they leave certain groups out in the cold? And it's not just about the checks themselves, it's also about how quickly these funds could hit your bank account. If you've ever waited weeks or even months for a payment, you'll want to know how these orders might speed things up or slow them down. Trust me, you don't want to miss this crucial information. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear understanding of what's changing, who's affected, and what you can do to prepare. So, if you're ready to cut through the noise and get the facts, hit that like button right now. It really helps support the channel and keeps you informed on everything that matters. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an update. Let's dive in and figure this all out together. All right, now that we've set the stage, let's get into the nitty-gritty of what's happening with Trump's executive orders and how they could reshape stimulus checks as we know them. First off, let's address the buzz. Executive orders are powerful tools. They're not just fancy announcements, they're directives that can create real, immediate changes in policy. And when it comes to stimulus checks, even small tweaks can have big implications for millions of Americans. So, what exactly is on the table? Let's break it down. One of the most talked about changes involves eligibility criteria. Right now, many stimulus checks are distributed based on income levels and specific qualifications, like whether you're on Social Security or if you file taxes in a particular year. Trump's proposed changes could expand this pool, meaning more people might qualify. But it's not as simple as just signing a piece of paper. Expanding eligibility could also mean adjusting how the government calculates need, and that's where things start to get complicated. For example, there's been chatter about including more individuals on fixed incomes or broadening the age brackets. This sounds great in theory, but who's footing the bill? That's the billion-dollar question. Another major point involves the timeline for distributing these payments. If you've ever been frustrated waiting for that direct deposit or check in the mail, you're not alone. One of the executive orders aims to streamline this process, potentially speeding up how quickly the IRS can get payments out. There's even talk of leveraging advanced technology or outsourcing some tasks to private entities to make it happen. But, and here's the kicker, faster doesn't always mean smoother. Could this rush lead to errors? It's possible. And for those relying on every dollar, any mistake could be devastating. Let's not forget the elephant in the room, funding. These changes don't exist in a vacuum. The government has to allocate money to make these payments happen, and that often means shifting funds from one place to another. Some experts worry this could lead to cuts in other programs like education or healthcare. On the flip side, supporters argue that stimulus payments boost the economy by putting money directly into the hands of consumers, who then spend it on essentials. It's a classic debate, short-term relief versus long-term stability. Now, let's talk about the potential impact on seniors and those on Social Security. If you're living on a fixed income, any changes to stimulus checks can feel like a lifeline. There's speculation that these executive orders might include provisions specifically for this group. For instance, instead of a one-size-fits-all approach, we could see tailored payments that account for the rising cost of living. With inflation hitting grocery stores, utilities, and healthcare, this kind of targeted relief could make a world of difference. But, and it's a big, but what happens if these changes don't pass Congress or face legal challenges? It's not uncommon for executive orders to get tied up in court, delaying their implementation. So, while the promises sound great, there's always a risk of political gridlock. Speaking of politics, it's impossible to ignore the broader implications of these orders. Critics argue that Trump's moves are more about optics than substance. aiming to rally his base ahead of key elections. Supporters, however, see it as decisive action in the face of a slow-moving Congress. Wherever you stand, one thing is clear. These changes are sparking conversations across the nation, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. At the very least, it's bringing attention back to an issue that affects millions of Americans. Another aspect worth discussing is the potential for new payment methods. We've already seen experiments with prepaid debit cards and digital wallets in previous rounds of stimulus payments. Could these executive orders push us further into the digital age? Imagine receiving your stimulus funds via an app, cutting out the delays of traditional banking. While this sounds convenient, it also raises questions about accessibility. Not everyone has a smartphone or reliable internet access, particularly seniors or those in rural areas. If this becomes the default method, will those without access be left behind? Let's also dive into the broader economic context. These executive orders aren't happening in isolation, they're a response to ongoing economic challenges. Rising inflation, fluctuating job markets, and increasing living costs are all part of the equation. Stimulus checks are designed to provide immediate relief, but they're not a long-term solution. That's why some economists are calling for a more holistic approach, like wage increases or tax reforms, to address the root causes of financial instability. However, such measures take time, and many families need help now. This is where the executive orders come in, acting as a stopgap until more comprehensive policies can be enacted. Now, let's circle back to something we touched on earlier, the potential for errors or fraud. Anytime there's a rapid rollout of government payments, there's a risk of mistakes. From incorrect payment amounts to funds being sent to the wrong accounts, these errors can create headaches for recipients. Worse, it opens the door for scammers to exploit the situation. We've already seen a rise in fraud during previous stimulus rounds, with criminals targeting vulnerable populations. It's crucial for anyone expecting a payment to stay vigilant. Keep an eye on official government updates, and don't fall for scams promising faster payments in exchange for personal information. As we near the end of this discussion, let's take a moment to think about what all this means for you. Whether you're eagerly awaiting a check, concerned about eligibility changes, or just trying to make sense of it all, these executive orders are worth paying attention to. They're a reminder of how interconnected our financial systems are and how quickly policies can shift. Staying informed is your best defense against uncertainty. So, what can you do right now? First, make sure your contact information is up to date with the IRS or Social Security Administration. This ensures you'll receive any payments you're entitled to without unnecessary delays. Second, stay engaged. Follow reputable news sources, ask questions, and don't hesitate to reach out to your local representatives to voice your concerns or support for these changes. And finally, if this video has helped you understand these complex issues a little better, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support not only helps us keep bringing you the latest updates, but also ensures that more people can access this vital information. Let's navigate these changes together, one step at a time. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.